Good morning, everybody. This morning we're going to learn how dealing with people. And I think we all need to do that. In my Sunday school lesson it says, why are relationships with others so important? Well, one reason is, if you can't get along with other people, how are you going to be a good witness for Jesus Christ? How are you going to be able to get along with work without getting aggravating, or with your spouse, or with your kids? You need to be able to get along with people. People that accomplish stuff in life and in the Bible and everything could get along with other people. People that are always fighting and arguing, it's not a good situation. This morning before we start, I'm going to go ahead and do some prayer request. I'd like you to remember me and I have a lot of problems with anxiety and depression, especially right now. Remember me with that. I know the Lord can help me, and He's helped me over the years and different things. But we have a lot of other people I know out there that struggle with this. We just need to leave it to the Lord, and He can take care of everything. Be with all of our families. Be with the sick. Be with Pastor Mike Gillen and his family. Be with all the people from Victory. Be with everybody else out there that's listening. Be with our government, our president, and Congress.
Be with me and my health and my job situations. And also be with the people that are going through the coronavirus. And be with the family members of them and friends. And remember, I have a friend in another state. She's going through a hard time right now with her family, and God knows all about it. So remember my friend in prayer.
Remember my brother. He's having knee surgery. He's had some before, and he's still having problems. He's younger than I am, but he's had a lot of problems with his body and been beat up for the jobs he's had. So remember him at this time, and just remember all my brothers and sisters, with their health and with their spiritual condition. Remember Brother Michael as he speaks after this. I still see we're gonna have a great outcome of all these home things on the internet and everything. I believe God's gonna bless us mightily. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for all the things you're going to continue to do. I think of the many prayer requests for family members. I pray for the love. I pray for me, Father, and my health. I pray for my wife and my son. Just continue to be with us. Be with my workplace at Walmart. We thank you for everything you've done, Father. Be with this Sunday school lesson. Be with the after service. Father, we just thank you for everything you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen. This morning's lesson, we're going to go to Proverbs chapter 25. And like I said, this morning's lesson is dealing with people. And this chapter this morning discusses a lot of things. It talks about the king and his subjects, or it'd be a boss and his subjects, a man and his wife, a person and his neighbor, and a person and his adversaries. And it said many of the sins that are marred in their personal relations are exposed here, including pride, gossip, nagging, angering, and lying. It tells you about how you're supposed to do this. A lot of people say, well, that's all right. No, it's not all right. We're supposed to be, when you are a Christian, you are Christ-like. Christ was not angry. He was not nagging. He was loving and everything, and he tried to encourage people. And that's what we're supposed to be. And I don't want to hear, that's just the way I am. Well, God don't want you that way. He wants all of us to keep, He's not done with me yet. There's still some rough edges and everything. I'm going to work this Friday night, and I was telling my boss, I says, yeah, my wife and my son that I say I get kind of nasty and angry when I work Friday nights. I says, I'm never nasty and angry. Ask the people at Victory. Have you ever seen Jimmy upset or angry? No, he hides it when he's here. No, we all get some, but we don't get enough sleep and everything. But we all need to try to put on our best effort because, we're living for Jesus. He sees every second of everything you do. I'm going to go ahead and read now. It says, these are also the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, Jews should type it out. It is the glory of God to conceal things, but it's the honor of kings is to search them out and matter. The heaven for the heights and the earth for the depth, and the king is unsearchable. The ways of dross and the silver, that's come from a vessel and finer. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. And here it's telling about, these proverbs were took out by Hezekiah. They went ahead and found them, and they told him these were wrote by Solomon. And Solomon was a very, very wise man. He wrote 3,000 proverbs, 1,000 songs, which were through Kings 4:29 through 32. Most of them he didn't all get them in the Bible. But if some of them did make it in the Bible, it's a Song of Solomon, possibly Psalms 72. 127, and a lot of Ecclesiastics. It's telling about how God sometimes hides stuff, but the king, or it can be a leader, sometimes finds it and brings them out and shows you. They're not hidden to everybody, but there's things in there. It's like he would tell the disciples a parable, and other people wouldn't understand, because he didn't want them to understand. And then Jesus would say, here is the answer to this parable. Here's what I'm saying in there. And the people would say, oh, you could understand what he was saying after he did that. I'm going to go to verse 6. It says, put not thy forth in the presence of the king, and stand in the place of great men. For it is better to be said unto thee, come up hither, than thou should be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thy eyes have been seen. It's saying like if you're going to a dinner or something, don't get right up to the front and in there and say, well, I'm important, I'm going to get right up here to the front. Because it's better to get in the back. Then they can say, well, come on up here, Elsie. Come up here to the front. We want you up here. Then you get all the way up to the front, and it goes, James, can you get out of the way for some other people to get up here a little more? It would make you look bad. It's better to humble himself and to get in the back and let him say, well, go ahead and move up. Because people that try to put themselves first and everything is not good. We're supposed to put others first, and God will take that. I don't like to be exalted and be lifted up and everything. It embarrasses me when people say, well, you're doing a good job, Jimmy. I know what kind of time, it's nice to hear, but I don't like to hear, I don't take praise very good. Some people like to have, I just don't take it, and it makes me feel, I feel like I'm never good enough. And really, myself, I put myself to a very high standard. Because I put I may be doing better than you or the homeless, but I'm not doing better than Jesus Christ. He was sinless. He was perfect. He died on the cross. And I want to do better every day and to be more like Jesus. And that's how I want to live. And I want others to see that.
I want to say something. When you were talking about how you have your high standards, you put yourself that way. Well, this is something new that we're, doing. We've been doing for like a month or whatever, but as far as, services online and Sunday school, and that you have been doing good. And, it's been something new, but, we appreciate what you're doing.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit more. And the book has really explained a lot of this, that when I read it, I don't sometimes understand it. But a lot of it's because it's wrote back in the older English and everything, where that's how they talk. That's why a lot of the newer translations translate it and they make it a little clearer. I don't like all of them, but it does help to read sometimes other translations along with King James. Verse 8, it says, "Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what the end is." He says, "When thy neighbor hath put thee to shame, debate thy cause with the neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another, lest he heareth it and be put to shame, and thy infirmity turn away." It's like if you got a problem with somebody, don't you go telling it to Joe down the road. You tell it to that person, because it's in there, and that's the way. And it says, a bulldog can whip a skunk, but it's hardly worth it. I mean, the dog, most of the time the skunk gets away, the dog smells bad, you have to give him that, and it says, even so there's times in heavy traffic that you are clearly in the right of way, but it's hardly worth insisting on being dead right. You could say, I had that semi cut me off. Yeah, he did. But if you'd have pulled in front of him like he wanted to and you'd have been right, you'd have been dead right, like it said. Just being right is not always. Sometimes you have to say, I'll just be in there. I might have been right, but I'll let him have his way, because he's thousands of pounds there and I've not got as much as he does. Sometimes you just have to humble yourself and say, well, that's all right.
Well, you got to watch too with knowing things about other people. It causes a lot of problems in church when you start not going to the person, and you go and tell this person in church and this person in church, and then it gets back to that other person, and
a lot of division.
It causes division. It does cause a lot of problems in the church, and we're not supposed to gossip. So you need to, if someone's telling you something in confidence, you need to keep it that way and not discuss it. Even if you have a problem with that other person, if you know that something they've done, you still need to go directly to that person.
How much trust would I have in you? If I told you something that says, well, I don't want anybody else to know about this, I'm really embarrassed. And the next thing I know, I hear two people in church talk about what I told you that nobody else was supposed to know. My trust in you is not going to be very good. A Christian is sometimes I look at him as a wimp. We're not supposed to be a wimp. And cowardice too is condemned in the Bible. And there's no place for Christian soldiers for sissies. But Christians should never go around looking for a fight. And they do that. Sometimes we go around and look for trouble, and it's supposed to, we're supposed to be swift to hear and slow to wrath. It says it's amazing how we practice that in reverse. We're supposed to listen and get mad. Most of the time we just barely listen and we get mad. We haven't even heard it all. We haven't even figured it out. And it doesn't even make sense. And we're all mad about it. Because, wait a minute. Because you don't understand. You need to be slow and just bite your tongue. You're wanting to say something right away. Just let it get all out. Let them tell you exactly what it is for you to understand. Because there's a lot of times people say stuff to me and I don't hear it right and I don't understand. And if I told them right away, I'd hurt their feelings, and it'd make me look stupid. So you want to be slow to anger. You want to be slow. You want to listen to what they say and say, yeah. In your mind, run it over there and think, what if they're saying anything? A quick temper and a fast tongue are sure to keep you in hot water. Amen on that. Because, if you get upset real fast and say the first thing that comes in there, it's not good. It said, few things are more embarrassing than being outsmarted by your foe and finding out too late that you misunderstood what the whole thing was about. He made you look stupid and you were confused and didn't know. It said, consider must first be to whether the issue is right, then whether it's worth the fight. It tells you, don't always fight over the little things. a lot of times I'll put that in there if it's big enough. Every little bitty thing. It doesn't matter, to argue over little bitty things. And some people argue over the littlest thing. If it gets to be a big issue, there's some things you can't just say, well, it's okay. Sometimes you say, no, it's not okay. I don't like to argue. I don't like to fight. But this is definitely wrong. We're going to say something. But if my wife tells me my shirt's white and I think it's yellow, it's no big man. I don't need to argue with her about stuff like that. And we don't need to argue about little bitty things that don't matter. It's not going to matter in there. Sometimes just don't make a comment. Even if I know my shirt is yellow, she must be blind. It's not white. So don't always argue about every little bitty thing. And every time you have an argument, somebody always loses. Both of you don't win most of the time. And part of the time it will be you. How do you like to lose an argument, James? You don't like to lose arguments. You don't either, Elsie. I don't. I don't like to be wrong. And sometimes in there, I have to bite my tongue and say, they were right. Sometimes I'll say something at work. And I'll think in there and and sometimes they were right. I hate to admit it, but they were right. Yeah, I don't want to admit that I was wrong, but they were. If you didn't argue to begin with, nobody will look stupid and silly. You're not going to win every argument you're in. Our president doesn't. Congress doesn't. Husbands and wives do not win every argument they have. Jesus commanded us to love our enemies, to turn the other cheek. We are to be at peace with everyone. That's in Romans 12:18. Sometimes strife cannot be avoided. If I'm around somebody and they tell me that they think that abortion is right, God would understand now because things have all changed. I can't bite my tongue and say, no, I have to tell them, God changes not. He doesn't like killing. He does not like murder. I'm not going to get into and argue with you, I'd say, about it, but you need to read your Bible. It's in the commandments. He doesn't want you murdered. He doesn't want different things. And another thing, like we was talking, either revealing a secret to people who are neither part of the problem nor a solution is a bad news. If they can't help the problem, if they're not part of the problem, why get them involved? They have nothing they've been doing to the situation, and all of a sudden you threw them in there, and then they have an opinion. There's problems with that. We need to stop. Gossip is a very big problem in the church. And the thing is, gossip never happens the way, if I tell Elsie that I seen a red Corvette going down the road, by the time it gets to James, it was a pickup truck. And how did it get to a pickup truck? It was a Corvette. And that's the way it is. You change one word. Somebody else changes one word. Somebody else adds two words. It's never the same. And pretty soon you're saying, one time when I was working, I was a little bored. I started a rumor about something. And later on in the day, somebody come up and was telling me, not knowing that I started it. It wasn't like anything that I'd even said. They said, well, this person said this and this is in there. And I said, you know something? I started that this morning just to see what was going to happen. It's nothing like I said. You guys have twisted it in there. I says, I just wanted to see how much people would change. And they did. It wasn't, I'm sitting in there. It don't even sound like anything that I said. Where did they get all the... It's because people, they've had that. Unless you take a picture, people come in there. Why do they have so many witnesses at an accident? Because other people sing different things. Well, I seen this truck come here first. Well, I seen the car. Well, the motorcycle. Well, the guy walked up. The thing is, you need to get sorted all out. It is easier to talk to others about the faults of your neighbor than it is to talk to him. It's easier for me to tell James that I have a problem with Elsie. Because James is not going to get upset because it's not him. It's Elsie. But is that doing any good? No, it's not doing any good. Because he's going to end up telling her, and then he's snickering about it, and she's mad. Well, why'd you tell him? Why didn't you tell me? And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I should have went to the source, and I should have told them, and I shouldn't have went around and started other stuff that had no business. That's why this lesson is discerning with people. I don't think anybody listening to this wants to intentionally hurt somebody's feelings. You don't feel, I don't feel good when somebody's feelings are hurt and they're upset and they're made I don't like that. Because I wouldn't like it if it was me. Jesus didn't want to embarrass people. A lot of times, he'd pull them off to the side and tell them something. You don't want to embarrass people, especially people you like. We are the salt of the earth. We're supposed to be Christ-like. And pride goes before destruction. It's like if you have a lot of pride, pretty soon it's going to bring you down. If you think that you're so good and you're always telling people, pretty soon everybody's watching you and you're going to make a mistake. It's better not to talk about yourself and everything. Verse 11 we'll go to, and it says, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in the pitcher of silver. An earring of gold and an ornament of the fire, and so his wise reprove in a bigoted ear. It's like I can say one word. It may make some, if I tell Elsie, that's an elegant dress, Elsie, and that makes you look so good with your heels and everything in there. The rest of the day, she goes, he noticed that I did that. He noticed that but if I don't say something, she said, he didn't even notice. I was in the bathroom with curlers in my hair and put my nails on, and he didn't even say that I didn't even mention it. One word could have stopped all that. I said, man, you look great today. We need to encourage people and tell people if they do that. Because if you don't, you end up paying for it. What did it cost me to tell her that she was looking good and everything? It put her in a great mood. She was nicer to me. If I'd have not noticed, they said, where'd you get that old thing? I guarantee you I got a pan upside the head, I got a pan right in. The thing is, you want to try to encourage people because you want encouraged. I'm going to go to verse 13. It says, it's the coldest snow, it's the time of harvest, so is the faithful messenger to them that send him, for it refreshes his soul of his master. Who boasts himself of a false gift is like clouds without rain. By long forbearing a prince is persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh bone. Is that now fond honey to eat? Eat so much that is sufficient for thee, lest I eat too much and be sick. He was telling in here, this one boy goes, I can eat a whole barrel of sugar. You'd eat 2 or 3 spoonfuls, and he goes, it don't taste quite as good as it did at the beginning. A little bit of something is good, but do not continue to eat till it makes you sick. I've seen stuff, and I've been guilty of this. I said, man, that looks so good. And I eat too much, and later my stomach's acting up, And I realized if I'd have just ate a little bit of it, I'd have enjoyed it. But I was a glutton, ate too much, and it made me sick. The thing is, limit yourself on what, plus it helps your body to stay healthy too. I'm going to read this whole passage here. It's from a Sunday school book. It goes, some parents apparently feel that the only way to get the attention of their children is by screaming and shouting and resorting to drastic measures of disciplines. Some Christian communicators seem to think that being rude, crude, and blunt is the only way to get the attention of an hearing. Passion and love are vital ingredients. It's in here, and I've heard this from a lot of preachers. It says, when you preach hell, make sure there's a tear in your eye. Because when you're telling people about hell, you're telling them, I don't want you to go there. I've seen people tell them, well, you're going to go to hell one day for the way you, and they almost point it into, and just, the thing is, you should never tell somebody they're to go to hell and be happy about that. That should bother you. It bothers me when people say, well, I don't want God didn't want anybody to go to hell. We shouldn't want anybody to go to hell. I don't care how many mean and how ornery they are and in there. Before I got saved, I was pretty on and mean. Almost everyone in here that's listening to this was not the same person before they became a Christian. And what if everybody just said well, they're so mean they need to go to hell? The thing is, God said hell was not made for man. It was made for the devil and his angels. Elsie, read 17 and 18, please. Right here. 17 and 18.
He that passes by and meddleth with strife belong. Oh.
No.
Sorry, I was in 26. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee. A man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword, and a sharp arrow.
Okay, that's good. It's telling you sometimes, if you're at somebody's house all the time, they can be a very big bother. I'm sure people have said that about me, and I've known people. When years ago, when I'd get out of bed, and they said, oh my gosh, they're coming over already. We seen him last night, and here they come. The thing is, you like this person, but if they keep coming out, you can only take so much. You want to have your family time. You want to be in there. You don't want somebody all the time. It's good to see. It's good to see friends. It's good to see friends, and it's good to communicate with them, and it's good to see family. But if it says right in here, just withdraw thy foot, lest they be weary and they hate thee, because you can get them out, and. I'm going to go ahead and read 19 and 20. It says, confidence in an unfaithful man at a time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of a joint, and he taketh away a garment of cold weather, so it be as he sinneth longest to heart. I'm going to let James read the next two verses because they're his favorite verse. Now, James, go ahead.
Okay, verse 21. If thy enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. Verse 22. For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee.
Very good. James says this verse a lot of times, but sometimes he just putting coals on his head. It doesn't say about the part about being good and everything. But the thing is, if you're good to somebody that's being bad to you, you ever notice how they look at you? Why did you do, they've done something to me and you do something nice to them. Plus, when I do that, to me, it gives me the feeling, what do you say to that, buddy? I was nice to you and you was mean. But some of them don't care. But the thing is, you're doing what God would want you to do. We nailed him to a cross, and he died for us for our sins. We're supposed to be like him. We're supposed to be more Christian. We're supposed to be likable. And it's not easy when somebody has went up and told the boss that you did something and you didn't do it and they did that, and they've done that before, then to tell them, well, I'm praying for you. Or they come up, you ever had somebody that's been as mean as a snake to you? And then they come up and want to borrow $1 to buy a pop. The first thing you think to yourself, you could come back, well, remember when you talked nasty about me? Remember when you got me in trouble with the boss? That's not what you do. She goes, here, Joe, don't worry about paying it back. Here's $1. Then there's, how many of us do that? I don't. I tell them, you're out of your mind. You just come over there and got me in trouble with the boss, and now you want me to give you $1? But what do you think the person off to the side sees? He's seen both of them. He's seen the boss yell at you for something you didn't do that the other guy got you in trouble for, and he also seen you give him $1. It makes people think of everything, and it's the right thing to do.
When I was going through my divorce, I thought about that verse that James had, because my ex-husband would still come out and mow the grass, because the house was still in both of our names and stuff, and he'd still come out. And then I'd offer him a cup of water and all that, and I was thinking that verse, heaping coals.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the wrong motive for that. I don't think the scripture means for you to actually heap coals on somebody else's head.
You're supposed to, and I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit more. In verse 23, it says, the north wind driveth away rain, so doth an angry countenance and a backbiting tongue. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. I'll tell you that's better. I don't want to make my wife mad and then have to live with her around the house, especially if it's my fault. I don't want to have to do that. And most husbands don't. You would rather go outside with it raining and almost lightning than to go back in the house and listen to her because she's mad. Because when a woman's mad, they'll tell you about it. There's no hiding, especially if you were wrong. Especially if you were wrong and you did that and you knew that you were wrong. The thing is, you need to learn these words, and it was telling on the radio, I'm sorry. It told you to teach little kids, and they don't teach you that in school. They don't teach them that now. And I don't even remember when I was going to school if they ever taught me to say, I did learn something when I was growing up from my parents and everything. Thank you. And you're welcome. Yes, sir, no, sir. You don't hear that anymore. That was common respect. If I was standing there, my dad seen me talking to somebody, he's listening to if I respect that guy. He's listening to, maybe they may not deserve that respect, but I honored them. I'd say, yes, sir, no, sir. Right now, if somebody says, yes, he goes, don't call me sir, I work for a living. That's what, but you're supposed to honor people, especially in there. We're supposed to treat people nice. I see things on TV that I just don't understand from both parties. I'm not saying who it was. One person tried to shake the other one's hand, the other one pulled the hand back. The other person gave him a speech that's getting ready to do. They tore the speech up and threw it in there. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. They were both wrong. They should have shown. This is on television.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is watching you.
Mm-hmm.
God watch. Why would you want to make a fool of you? Because people are saying there. Did you see what he did? Did you see what she did? Neither one of them was right. Can't we just get along for a little bit? God says, with all in you, get along with every person. You know, there's a difference for picking, you know, laughing and joking and everything, and that's fine. But some of it is done so cruelly and so viciously. You know, it's not funny anymore. It's not nice. And I get it. It's funny on a show or something in there. People watch soap operas, and you talk about people that are mean and vicious. Oh, I tell you. But the thing is, turn over the next week, they're married, that person in bed with them. Turn to the next week, you know, they shot it at them and they missed. You know, it happens. And the thing is, too, it happens. I can turn them soap operas off 2 years later and turn them back on. And the guy's married that woman 4 times, and he's getting ready to marry her again. It doesn't change. And the people eat it up. They love it. It's the same way in different things. You watch wrestling. One guy said this guy's buddy this week, the next week he hits him in the head with a chair. This isn't real life. The Bible is true life. It's telling you what's going to happen. You see all these things that happen now are happening now in the world and everything. A lot of you people are staying at home now and listening to this, but you wouldn't come into the house of the church because you're mad at the church. The church has done something, or you're mad at somebody else. I know people, when I first started going to Victory, they was running the aisles. They were excited about the Lord. They sat at home now and don't do anything. Some of them used to sing. Some of them were preachers. They've not only caused a problem in their own life, they've messed up their family's lives, their kids' life, their grandkids' life, all because of one simple thing that could be solved if you come up to that person and said, "You did me wrong," and that person would probably say, "I didn't realize that. I'm sorry." So many things can be stopped. I had uncles who didn't talk to each other for years till they was both ready to die, and they were both Christians, and it was sad. Yes, they got back together before they died, but why couldn't they have did that easier? It was something that was really simple, but nobody wanted to admit they were wrong. When you're dealing with people and everything, you don't always have to be right about everything. I had people tell me stuff, and I know it's wrong and I disagree, but if it's not a big issue, I just don't say anything. A lot of times it's because I didn't hear them right, and I wasn't quite sure what they said, and I'm not going to argue with them if I'm not, and even if I did, I don't need to argue about what color the sky is, or what color the moon grass is. We don't need to argue about that. Can't we just try to get along? It goes a lot easier when I go to work and we start kidding with each other. I'm kidding about everybody wearing masks. I was telling this guy today, he goes, "You can't hide behind that mask. I know who you are. I could tell by your head." He was a bald-headed guy. He thought that was funny, and and that's the way it is. To talk and to be funny and to laugh. That's what you're supposed to be.
You know, when you was talking about, how, respecting people, say yes ma'am, no sir, whatever. So my senior year I took ROTC Navy class, and, that really taught some discipline, and it really taught me some things too. It showed respect to the commanders, and if you would get out of line, you would have to, there will be consequences, and including me. I made a mistake once. The whole class was acting up, and here I was, oh, well, they're doing push-ups, so I could just laugh at them. Well, I learned very quickly that you don't do that either. And so my assignment was, I had to write 150 times, I will not make fun of my fellow cadets. And then I had to turn it in the next day. And so, that was the punishment for me, since I couldn't do, the physical stuff like they could. So, it teaches you respect. And nowadays, people need to show that to one another.
In here it says, while we often talk of self-control, every Christian knows that reins of life are not in his own hands. Effective self-control is a divine grace. And it's not a matter of willpower or natural strength. Christ is our strength. I can't stop from getting mad and everything because of my willpower. If I ask God, God, help me. Help me in this situation when I deal with different people. Every day when I go to work, I pray for everybody that I'm going to work with. Everybody. Because I know if I don't, that'll be the person I work with and I'll have a problem with them. It makes it easier. I told one of my bosses that one time, he goes, you pray for me every day? I says, yes, I do. I pray. It makes me a lot easier when I come in there and I'm praying for you, And he says, well, I just never realized you pray for... And he was a Christian. We need to remember stuff like that. And here I ask the question, do you have a good relationship with authority? Your bosses? Everybody needs to think about. With your family? With your church family? With your neighbors? Sometimes them neighbors can get on your nerves. Mm-hmm. But you have to have, I'm not saying any special, but you have to have a good relation with them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to bite your tongue. And you say, I can't believe they're that dumb. And the thing is, sometimes you have to just say, get over it. Get over it.
Right.
Because somebody's probably saying about it you sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes you just shake your head and I just can't believe that was said and done. How can you do to improve that? And James, how are we to treat our enemies? We're supposed to treat them good. We're supposed to
pray for them.
Pray for them.
Yeah.
Somebody at work, with initials G, is just knocked your wheelchair out of there, and he says, hey James, I don't have any money for a pop. Could I get a pop from you? Think about it. What's he going to do when you say, here, go ahead. Well, aren't you going to get one? No, I don't have enough for both. You don't tell him that, or he would, in there, let him get that, and he says, well, aren't you going to get one? He goes, no, I didn't. How do you, that makes them in their heart, and it goes, unless they're a real nasty person, they're going to say, I shouldn't be so mean to that guy. That is better than, if you'd have told him, I'm going to stop bumping my wheelchair, that's not going to do anything, they're going to do it. But if he asks for a pop and you buy him a pop in there, he's going to remember that. This is a very good lesson. We all deal with people. We deal with people at work. We deal with people at church, our neighbors. We deal with our family. Right now, all of us being stuck in a house with the same people for day in and day out. Even as sweet a guy as I am, I get on people's nerves sometimes, I've been told. I've been told that I aggravate some people. I can't believe that. I'm the sweetest guy there is. And I know how I talk. I can't believe that people would think that I'm that way. I said, I get out of bed. Hi, everybody. I'm a nice guy. No, that doesn't happen. You better get out of my way for a little while. I don't get up in the morning. I do not get up mornings. A lot of us do not get up in the morning. People say, well, I better get my cup of coffee. I better get my meds or you're going to get in trouble. You better get out of my way. for a little bit. And a lot of times we say things that we really wouldn't say. The other day, I was really my wife wasn't feeling good. My son asked for something, and she got kind of rough with him. But later on, she was in his room. She goes, "James, I'm sorry. I wasn't feeling good." She goes, I wasn't feeling good, and it wasn't your fault. But you know what? That made me feel good, and it made James feel good. And sometimes we need to say, "I'm sorry for what I did." That's what this world is about: helping each other, lifting each other up, and we all need that right now at this time. Well, I about talked as much as I need to talk, but this has been a real good lesson. We've had fun with it and everything, but it tells you, don't let your anger get the better of you. Because if you say something and hurt somebody's feelings, you can't take that back. I can't take them words back that I've already threw out. If I'm writing you a letter and I put something in there before I mail it, I can use easy out or cross it out with ink, and you don't know. But if I've already said that, it says be slow to speak and slow to wrath, and slow to anger. That's what the world needs. I see these politicians in there, and somebody asks them a question, and they try to get these quick comebacks. And if they'd have thought about it, they wouldn't have said that. It might have been true, but they wouldn't have said that if they'd have thought about it. We all don't say things that we wouldn't have said if we would have thought about it. You guys all have a good day today. And think about it, people. Next week's Mother's Day. So be nice to that woman in your life. It's your mother or your wife. She's a virtuous woman. She's a special woman. She's a special. If she's not special to anybody else, she's special to you. If your mother's not alive anymore, your grandmother, take a little time to think about the good times you had with her. I do that all the time. Think about my mom or my grandma. Couldn't see it all. I love her. She'd say, "Don't let her do the dishes tonight." The last time she did the dishes, she left a cup of coffee in there and stuff in there and stuck it in the cabinet. She couldn't see. But Dad would say, "Don't let your grandma do the dishes." And she would take, "Oh, they're being nice." No, we just didn't want dirty dishes in her cabinet. Everybody have a good week.